I'm usually more of a Mr. Brightside than even the lead singer of The Killers, but the Denver Broncos just got some bad news all across the NFL this week that could make a playoff push a lot harder than I predicted at the start of our bye 2 weeks ago. In this video, we're going to dive in what it would take for the Broncos to make the playoffs and the bad things that happen around the NFL that could make that a lot trickier. Now, imagine that we can just go back in time to being fresh off our win against Kansas City and how great we were feeling. We were looking ahead to playing the Vikings without Kirk Cousins, to playing the Browns without Deshaun. We imagined that the Bills were going to beat the Bengals and look past us. We got to play the Raiders with a new coach and they'd given up on the season. Well, the NFL is such a crazy week-to-week league, and so many things changed that hurt that. So let's dive in right off the bat here and take a look at the playoff picture. If the playoffs were to start today, here's how it would shape up in the AFC. And the craziest thing that I see is that at the start of the year, I thought the Bills were one of the best teams in football. And if the playoffs were to start today, the Bills would be on the outside looking in. And so that makes our game next week against the Bills, it's a must-win. They are in must-win territory. They got to win these games at home. And so our hope next week of playing the Bills and they were going to look past us, I don't think they're looking past anyone because it is a must-win for Josh Allen and the Bills. The other thing that is completely different from when I had predicted a win 2 weeks ago was Josh Allen's shoulder is better by the week, and he was absolutely flinging it in that game against the Bengals. And so I think he is fully healthy, and our chances of playing a banged up Bills offense at least is down. We're going to actually have a chance to go behind enemy lines and hear from some Bills podcast video creation experts. And so we're going to hear what they think about the Bills, but let's keep looking at more things. So next thing that is scary to me is if you look at our playoff we're right now 15. And if you look ahead, a lot of these teams we still play. So we play the Raiders last game of the season. We play the Chargers twice. We play the Texans. We play the Bills, and we play the Browns. And so you could say our entire future is ahead of us, and it is because we do play so many of these teams who are in front of us that we have control of our own destiny. If we win out, we will make the playoffs. That's for sure. But that got a lot trickier. If you actually look at our remaining strength of schedule here, Tankathon is fantastic for that. Just even last week, we were like in the high 20s for our strength of schedule, but it keeps getting harder. So we have to play the Lions, play the Browns. Now, the Browns, Deshaun's back and had one of his best games as a Brown last week. Again, I mentioned that we're playing the Bills, and now it's a must-win game for the Bills. And now games that I thought were just absolute layups in playing the Vikings and playing the Texans, they're both coming out and their quarterbacks are setting records. And so you see Kirk Cousins blown Achilles, Dobbs comes in, and Dobbs doesn't even know his teammates' names. Kevin O'Connell, his coach in the huddle, is telling him in the headset, hey, you're going to look for this receiver running a slant route on the left. And he sets a record and just comes out and balls out of control. And so now playing the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, a game that the NFL did not flex out of, is a lot trickier because Dobbs is actually a baller, and Dobbs is a lot more mobile than Kirk Cousins was. And maybe that's going to be a bigger problem for the Broncos. So as the Vikings get healthier, perhaps we're going to see their stud receivers coming back, and the Vikings game all of a sudden is not a layup. Now the Texans, which has been you just pencil that in as a win every year, is also a lot trickier because the quarterback, who a lot of people didn't think was going to be that great, sets the rookie record for passing in a game. And that's just terrifying that he breaks Matt Stafford's record for passing in a game. We've seen this Broncos defense have trouble with passers with Tua and all of that. And so truly those games aren't as much of a layup either. Now, we know what the saying is, that Charger's going to Charger, and we play the Chargers twice. And in my mind, we've played well against them even when we've been struggling this year. But the Chargers defense is for real, and they just keep getting healthier and healthier. Last night on Monday Night Football on the road, they have 8 sacks. Khalil Mack, and you got that Bosa guy on the outside. They have their rookie. they're terrifying. And if you had told me in a game that Herbert was going to only throw for 136 yards with no touchdowns, he was going to barely be a 500 passer with accuracy here, I would say, yeah, there's no way they can win. And they just dominated 27-6, a Jets team that was excited and ramped up and had Aaron Rodgers on the field, and they see a playoff push perhaps, and they had every reason to play and win, and the Chargers defense showed up. So now we know the Chargers offense is formidable, and now if the Chargers defense is showing up, that's a very, very scary thing. So you kind of start to understand here why, if you look at the statistical chances of making the playoffs, I would have said we're 15%. And according to this calculation, we're only a 4% chance of making the playoffs. Now, what I will say, I still believe, and I believe it all starts this week against the Buffalo Bills. And if we win against the Buffalo Bills, all the momentum is on our side. We have completely turned the season around in beating the teams on our schedule that looked the hardest in the Chiefs and the Bills. And if we have held the MVP of the league to 1 touchdown in 2 games, completely kept him off the scoreboard last week with the Chargers, or with the Chiefs. If we beat the Chiefs, who can't we beat? And so while we had bad news with a lot of teams being better than we thought, the good news is we have all the momentum. The future is in our control. Sean Payton, this is why we gave up 2 draft picks to get you. Russell Wilson, this is why we gave up 3 first-round draft picks to get you. It is time, Broncos country. If we are going to make a playoff push, this happens now. So Broncos country, if you like this video, will you like and subscribe, and let's ride.